All right, let's talk some Eagles. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. And as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Coming up over the next several minutes, just want to go through the latest Eagles news and rumors as we're about exactly a day away from the 2025 NFL Draft. And speaking of that, just want to plug this as a programming reminder. We're going to be live every day, every round, dissecting every pick of the draft. Specifically for the first round, our coverage begins on Thursday night. Join us. We'll be live starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, 2 hours before kickoff. We're approaching 120,000 subscribers. So join the movement and hit that sub button right now. Some breaking news on this Wednesday night, and we had an idea that this was going to come at some point, and we'll see what happens with Jordan Davis because the Eagles have a decision to make there, whether or not to exercise his fifth-year option. What Philadelphia's decided to do with Jahan Dotson? Well, according to Jordan Schultz, NFL insider, the Eagles are declining the fifth-year option for their number 3 wide receiver. And this puts the former number 16 pick out of Penn State a few years ago by the Washington Commanders in a contract year for the upcoming 2025 season. This makes a lot of sense for Philadelphia financially here. Because if they exercised that fifth-year option for Dotson, they would have owed him $16.8 million in guaranteed money for that fifth year in 2026. That's what happens with this exploding wide receiver market and when you're a first-round pick, especially at that position. As we know in the lead-up to last year, Howie, Roseman, and the Eagles were in need of a wide receiver 3, and so they traded for Dotson and a fifth-round pick coming to Philadelphia from Washington, and they gave up a 2025 third-round pick and 2 sevenths. He was seldom used in 2024 en route to the Eagles making it to the Super Bowl, and the Eagles have had trouble with including and incorporating a number 3 wideout alongside A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. Hard to do because that's the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League, but you'd like to see a little bit more from that wide receiver 3 production. Because last year, Dotson only had 19 catches, 216 yards, no touchdowns, along at 36. Of course, this Eagles offense centered around Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, this offensive line, and so it's hard for a wide receiver 3 to have production. It's also why it makes sense why the Eagles didn't exercise that fifth-year option, given they'd have to guarantee him all that money. Let's give credit where credit is due, though. Late in the year, when Dotson's number was called, he produced. Those last couple of games of the season when he was pretty much the go-to threat through the air for either Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee, he played well. And then in the NFL playoffs, he rose up, and sometimes the unsung heroes come through in the biggest of moments. Well, Jalen Hurts, his first touchdown pass of the playoffs went to Jahan Dotson when he bought some time in the pocket, stepped up, and threw a strike toward the back of the end zone. And then in the Super Bowl, I thought Dotson played well against Kansas City, highlighted by this play right here early in the game. This helped the Eagles shake off what happened on that first drive when there was that bad penalty on A.J. Brown. And then that long dime from Hurts to Dotson got the Eagles to the 1. It was originally called a touchdown for number 83, and then that led to the brotherly shove. Dotson, up to this point in his career, with where he was drafted, he is considered a little bit of a disappointment. Now, I covered Penn State in my previous job, and I watched a lot of Dotson when I was covering Penn State football for WNEP up there in Scranton. Shout out to the 570. And I was high on Dotson coming out. Good route runner, very productive. I liked his 40-yard dash time in the pre-draft. Thought he had some really good hands. Washington drafted him in the middle of that first round in 2022. 35 catches, 523 yards, and 7 touchdowns as a rookie. Then in 2023, slipped down the depth chart, and his drop rate was very high. And he had a disappointing season, 49 grabs for 517 and 4 touchdowns. And then he gets traded to the Eagles. And giving up a third-round pick, pretty lofty pick to give up for a player who only had 19 catches. So you might chalk that up as a little bit of a disappointment, but he did add talent and depth, which was needed to that wide receiver room for the Eagles. And I think that in his career, let's say he goes somewhere else after the season or an injury happens, hopefully not, to either A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith. I think that he could be better with more targets. I'm a firm believer still in the player, and I think there's some good football left for Dotson. But as part of this conversation, the Eagles are obviously planning for the future at that wide receiver spot. They're keeping their options open for a wide receiver 3. Keep in mind they still have Johnny Wilson and Aniyah Smith on the roster. But with the NFL draft being tomorrow, here are some wide receiver targets who I would like for the Eagles. Now, it depends on where you'd want to target a wideout. I think round 2 is a little bit too early. After that, though, that's when you start to have interest in these players if they're on the board. Jaden Higgins, big, tall, physical, highly productive, really good blocker. I think he's going to go in round 2. His teammate Jalen Noel, more of a slot guy, whereas Higgins, jump ball guy on the perimeter. He's more of an outside X. Alec Ayumanner is another player who is very physical, big, can go up and get it. Good production with bad quarterback play and a bad offense at Stanford. You look at the highlights of what he did against Travis Hunter, who a lot of people think is the top corner in this draft. He was dominant. I'm very high on him, and I like his run-blocking ability. Savion Williams is kind of a Deebo Samuel, Cordero Patterson clone, almost a positionless player, but you find ways to include him, get him the football, and he can really make things happen, although route running in his hands are question marks. Tej Johnson ran a poor 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. I think he plays better than that. And coming out of the slot as a small, shifty player, I think that he could pick up yak for Philadelphia. Kyle Williams is a 4-4 guy from Washington State, like the speed, the production, the route running, the deep ball ability. Xavier Restrepo had a disappointing NFL Combine for Miami. He blamed it on a hamstring injury. But I think that he could be a good, shifty slot who can make you miss in a phone booth. Jimmy Horn ran well in the pre-draft process. That surprised a lot of people. He could be a day 3 player. Arian Smith can fly, 4-3 player. And then Chimere Dike out of Florida is in that 4-4 range. He can run as well. Willing to take a chance on a wide receiver in day 3 as compared to day 2, just where the Eagles are at that position and some of the other needs that they had that are more important going into draft time. So what say you? Would you like to see the Eagles draft a wide receiver? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Share your opinions and your draft insight with me down in the comment section right now. Coming up next, just around the corner, will the Eagles trade up in the 2025 NFL Draft? Going to talk about that because there's a lot of chatter behind Howie Roseman potentially being aggressive tomorrow night in round 1. So we're going to have a conversation on that front. Before we do that, I know a lot of you are watching this show right now and you're like, Chase, that shirt is awesome. Where can I get it? You got the Eagles logo, both printed, and you've got the Eagles logo right here, Liberty Bell cheesesteak. Looks like it would be a really fun summer shirt with summer coming up around the corner. Well, today's show, sponsored by Chubby's. This shirt sent to me from Chubby's. And you can see all of their products for yourself at chubbyshorts.com/chat. And when you do that, you can see for yourself everything that Chubby's has to offer. April is here, but this ain't the time for fooling. It's the time to let those thighs breathe. Whether you're playing around a golf with the homies, hitting up a beer garden, or visiting an actual garden, Chubby's has you covered for all of the good vibes that warm weather brings. Bright polos that demand attention like this? Check. Killer shorts that show off those beautiful thighs? Ladies say I have great legs. I agree. Double check. Hitting up the pool or the beach? Their classic line swim collection has your new favorite trunk for those sunny days. For everything non-water related, their original shorts provide that classic look with the fresh vibe and a modern fit. And for a mix of laid-back style and performance, you have to try their Everywhere shorts. That's every W-E-A-R, everywhere. Get it? These rascals are a clever little bunch. At the end of the day, your wardrobe deserves a springtime upgrade. So to sweeten the deal for limited time only, Chubby's is giving our listeners and our viewers 20% off your order by using our special promo code CHAT. So whether you're getting dressed for your workday, a workout, or weekend getaway, Chubby's has you covered. Use that code CHAT for 20% off. Fantastic deal. We'll put this link down below in the comment section attached to the pinned comment of today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the swim collection is also great. Without hyperbole, the absolute top of the men's swimwear game. Thanks so much to Chubbies for hopping on board here on Philadelphia Eagles. Now they'll continue to be a sponsor during draft weekend, and you can even get the shirt that I'm wearing by using that code CHAT. So, as part of today's show, I want to talk about some of the latest Philadelphia Eagles trade buzz in the NFL draft. Will Howie Roseman trade up in the first round? We know at some point Howie's going to be wheeling and dealing throughout draft weekend. Here's what Daniel Jeremiah, lead NFL draft analyst for the NFL Network, said, and of note, used to work under Howie in that Eagles front office. He said, I think there are a lot of teams in this draft that would like to go in reverse. And the Eagles could be one of the few teams that would really be willing to put their foot on the gas and go get somebody. They have a ton of picks. I think they have 12 picks next year. So they could be a team. You're always looking at teams that could move back. They could be a team. Say it's Walter Nolan who's there. Maybe that's someone they would be aggressive for and move up, which is a natural segue to this. Some Eagles trade-up targets who come to mind. Walter Nolan, excellent scheme fit, one of my favorite players in this draft. I think that he could be an excellent defensive tackle in this Vic Fangio defense, and imagine him alongside Jalen Carter. Colston Loveland is the number 2 tight end in this draft class behind Tyler Warren out of Penn State, in my opinion. Now, others think that Loveland is tight end 1. If the Eagles are looking for a Dallas Goedert replacement, they could get a player who mirrors Goedert, who could be better than Goedert for a fraction of the price for the next 4 to 5 years. Malachi Starks, my top safety in this draft, added Georgia. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll be available at number 32. You would require a trade-up. Gray Zabel, North Dakota State, can play any position along that offensive line. Nick Scorton, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. The Aggies, loaded with premier defensive talent in this class, especially in the trenches defensively. Donovan Ezaraku, really skilled pass rusher who's long and was highly productive last year for Boston College. Maxwell Hairston, a 4-3 player at corner out of Kentucky. Trey Amos, similar speed, cornerback out of Ole Miss. And then the Eagles did also have a top 30 pre-draft visit with Josh Connerly, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, who had some really good reps on tape against Abdul Carter in the Big Ten championship game. And Abdul Carter is player number 1 on my big board. Also, there's this. Howie Roseman has fleeced so many teams, whether it be offseason trades or plucking players away from other teams or trading with teams in the NFL draft. So will other teams do business with the Eagles? Adam Schefter saying this on 97.5 The Fanatic this morning. Last week you asked if there are teams scared of doing business with the Eagles and Howie Roseman, and I said, no, they're going to call. They won't shy away from it. But I will say this, they are mindful of his track record, because I did have one GM say to me this week, and this guy was talking about moving up, moving back, and Philly came up, and the guy jokes to me, yeah, we're blocking all calls from the 215 area code into our facility. It has been pretty amazing to me how Howie Roseman over and over again has been able to win these deals with other teams, fleece these other teams, and yet teams have still done business with him. And if other teams don't answer the call, I think that's kind of soft, because you never know what another team is going to offer. At the end of the day, though, no one likes us. We don't care. Could the Eagles trade up for Michigan tight end Colston Loveland? We will round out with that. And I like Loveland a lot as a player. His numbers dipped in 2024 because of inconsistent quarterback play for Michigan. Pro Football Focus floating this idea that with Goedert entering the final year of his contract, rumors have swirled that the Eagles may be open to trading the veteran tight end. Losing Goedert would leave a significant void in Philadelphia's offense, where he's long been a key piece of the passing game. What better way to fill that void than by drafting a tight end who not only compares favorably to Goedert, but would also be playing on a rookie contract, something Philadelphia's front office will value. It's funny that PFF said that, because in my final mock draft, and PFF, by the way, floated a trade with the Chargers, but in the first round, I had proposed this trade idea also with the Chargers, because the Chargers are in a spot where Tyler Conklin and Will Dissly are their top 2 tight ends. And they have Justin Herbert at quarterback. And Jim Harbaugh would love a tight end. That's a position he uses frequently, who can block and catch passes, who brings playoff chops, and a Super Bowl winning pedigree in Dallas Goedert. And I don't think he's going to break the bank. I just don't think Philadelphia wants to pay him in the double digits as far as $10+ million. And so I floated this trade idea where the Eagles receive 55, they move up to take Mason Taylor at LSU, and the Chargers get 64, 165, and Dallas Goedert. This past year, Loveland at Michigan still was targeted 82 times in a down year and hauled in 56 catches, 10.4 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns, 2 drops. Sure-handed, smooth route runner, physical, he can run, he can block a little bit too. His last 2 years really coming onto the scene as one of the top tight ends in college football. In 2023, when Michigan won the national championship, he reeled in 45 passes from J.J. McCarthy for 649. A little bit more explosive as far as the yards per catch. 4 touchdowns, 5 drops. Shoring up the drops this past year, that was big for Loveland on more catches. So what will Howie and the Eagles do in round 1? It's a huge mystery right now because Howie and the Birds always keep it close to the vest. Speaking of vests and shirts, get your Chubbies gear today.